Hi, everybody. Peter Greenberg on this Thursday, the 20th of October, 2022. Hope you're having a great time wherever you happen to be. Here we are for our global travel update. Let me tell you where I happen to be. I'm in the famous Polyform penthouse suite here at the Gansevoort Hotel in the Meatpacking District here in New York. And of course, always happy to get your comments and your questions, so please send them in. You know the drill. And of course, we've got lots of stuff to talk about today. Things are getting crazy all around the world. You saw what happened this morning in the United Kingdom, where the shortest serving prime minister ever resigned, Prime Minister Russ. And of course, the good news for them is that the pound is actually coming a little stronger against the dollar. It got as low as $1.03 a couple of weeks ago. Still a buyer's market for us if we're traveling there. We can talk about that. Moving right along, though, lots of other stuff to talk about. Let's get right to it. Holiday travel. If you've waited to book your trip, you're already feeling the pain. Airfares are up about 31% for Thanksgiving holiday over last year, over 55% above what those fares were last year for Christmas. It's getting even crazier. The average fare for a domestic flight over Thanksgiving this year is about $460. For Christmas, it's over $580 and going up about 4% every 2 days between now and the end of the holiday period. Now, do you have to go? You really have to travel over Thanksgiving? Now, certain things we already know, right? The Wednesday before that Thursday of Thanksgiving, the busiest travel day of the year. Why would you ever want to travel on that day, ever? If you haven't seen the movie Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, go ahead, stream it. You'll know why. But forgetting that, if you still have to travel, go back to the previous Friday before Thanksgiving. Don't leave Saturday, Sunday, or Monday. It's not going to help you. Got to go back. And then when you come back, don't come back on Saturday, Sunday, or Monday. It's even worse. Do what I do. Well, first of all, you have to understand, I look at Thanksgiving a different way. I look at it as an obligatory dysfunctional family get-together. So if you look at it that way, then you realize how I do it. I take the very first flight out on Thanksgiving morning. It gets me where I need to go in time to carve the turkey and have all of my relatives push all the emotional buttons. And then guess what happens? Early Friday morning, I'm out. I'm gone. And on that Friday morning flight, there's nobody on that plane. You can go bowling on that flight. And the best part about it is you get home, the weekend belongs back to you, and you can watch as much bad football as you like. All right. For Christmas, it's a little bit different this year because Christmas falls on a Sunday, which means that Monday is going to be a mess the day after Christmas. So try to do it at least a week and a half early and come back 5 or 6 days later. Then again, you're bumping up against New Year's Eve. Now, here's the really cool thing about it. There are 2 weeks in America every year, without fail, where you can get great deals. It's the week immediately following that dysfunctional family get-together, otherwise known as Thanksgiving, called the Dead Week. That's the week after Thanksgiving. And the second dead week of the year happens in the next year. It's the week immediately following New Year's. And that's when everybody's just recovering from New Year's. You're going to see prices drop precipitously, and it's a buyer's market then. Now, the other good news is once we start sliding into January and February, there we go. Welcome to the hotel. Next thing you know, he's going to come check the mini bar. That's when I punch him out. Anyway, bottom line is fares are going to start dropping precipitously starting around the 15th of January, and they'll stay up through probably May. Other than that, we get that one exception being President's Day weekend. You should be in good shape. If you've got frequent flyer miles lying around, and you know you do, now's the time to start redeeming them for flights starting in January as well, all the way through next year. 330 days out till just about now in 2023, and you might get some awards that you can actually use and that they might actually redeem. Okay? Now, moving right along, let's go to this. The J.D. Power survey is out on customer satisfaction with airports. There are going to be no surprises here in terms of the ones that we don't like. But you might have some surprises about the ones we actually do like, the ones we actually are satisfied with. What's the number one airport in America where everybody is satisfied with the airport? You're not going to believe it. Minneapolis, followed by San Francisco, followed by Detroit, a big surprise, but it's a well-run airport. And guess who made the list this year? Las Vegas. Used to be called McCarran, now it's called Harry Reid. Las Vegas, by the way, is now the 10th largest airport in the world. That should tell you something. All right, which are the ones that didn't do well at all? No big surprises here. Toronto, Los Angeles, LAX, Boston, Chicago, and of course our all-time perennial favorite. That's sort of an oxymoron. Just let's call it the all-time favorite, Newark, for being the worst. Okay, now some other good news I'm going to share with you. It's just starting to happen as the Department of Transportation rules are starting to kick in. How many of you check bags have been told by the airline they're going to charge you $25 or $35 or more for a check bag, and then you get to your destination and the bag's not there? Right? You already paid for it, but it didn't show up. Well, guess what? You're entitled to a refund. They did not perform the service, right? Now, of course, we hope that they will deliver that bag to you in a reasonable amount of time, but they didn't perform the service you contracted for. You're owed a refund. So American Airlines is starting to write a lot of checks right now. They'll be followed by United and Delta and all the other airlines that conveniently started to think that they could get away with it. They can't. They have to write the checks. And of course, to all my friends at Air Canada who still owe me $30 for messing up my flight to Halifax, I'm still waiting. And I'm going to go on this show every week until I get my $30. Okay, moving along. Certain things haven't changed. Folks are still showing up at airports like LaGuardia and LAX to stand in line at 5 in the morning just to get into the Delta Sky Club. It's nuts. They're overloaded, they're overcrowded, and it's not looking pretty. Okay, moving along. We're celebrating like the 40th anniversary of what I would call failed airlines. I'm going to give you a couple of names of airlines that actually existed, some for a very brief period of time in the 1980s, and see if I can jog your memory. Okay, does anybody remember MGM Grand Air? I do, I flew it. It was the original all first class airline when it started, with 727s, only had 33 seats. They even had suites, and all the celebrities flew it between LA and New York. And it was a business model that worked. But then somebody was stupid and said, let's get a bigger plane. They got a plane that could not handle the market because it was too big. They got an old DC-8, a couple of old DC-8s, and because they couldn't make the whole plane all first class, they went against their brand. They put in coach. So the sense of entitlement that the luxury travelers had about having essentially their own plane flew away, and the airline soon failed. Anybody remember the Trump shuttle? Anybody remember the name of the shuttle before it was the Trump shuttle? Anybody remember? Yep, the Eastern Airlines shuttle. And believe it or not, when Eastern Airlines flew the shuttle between New York and Boston and New York and Washington, D.C., we loved it. Why? Because they had a policy that if they sold, it was first come, first serve. So if they sold out the 8 o'clock flight, they wheeled up one at 8:10, another plane, and they took you. Well, those days are gone. Trump then took the shuttle and damn near bankrupted it, and it went away. And guess what? Trump had to get rid of the airline. It failed in 1990. People Express, this is way before Virgin and JetBlue. There was People Express. They actually flew 747s at like $99 to LA. It was completely no frills. And what happened to them? They tried to get too big. They tried to fly everywhere, and they sank under their own weight. It was actually acquired because they wanted their planes by Continental Airlines in 1987. And as you know, Continental later on became United. Okay, here's one that some of you may remember. I actually remember it. And it was an airline called the Great American Smokers Club. When airlines became all non-smoking, a group of somewhat enterprising folks said, well, there's so many smokers still left, let's make an airline for people that's an all-smoking airline. Well, even the smokers were coughing, and didn't work. Didn't work, and it It was snuffed out. Get it? Okay. And the other one that didn't actually work was one that was started with old DC-8s going between Miami and Tel Aviv, and it was called the Lord's Airline. And the whole idea was they were going to get by with a little help from their friend up above. And very spiritual flight. Well, guess what? They ran out of money. God was not in a generous mood, and they never made it. Anyway, there are others as well, but I just wanted to share those with you. A little memory lane trip today. And speaking of memory lane, we're going to show you a photo. It's our Throwback Thursday photo. There it is. Where was this picture taken? When was this picture taken? And last but not least, can you name at least 3 people in this photo? I'll give you some time. Let's go to some of your questions and comments. I'm going to scroll up here. All right. Sue's saying hi from Bellingham, Washington. Jews in Japan. All right. Colleen is saying, you're showing the Canary Islands. You loved it. Okay. Thank you for saying that. It's, by the way, it's premiering starting October 24th. So check your local listings. Priya's in Irvine. Camilla's in Tucson. Camilla's always in Tucson. Ismail is up. We love it. All of our Tanzania friends are on board today. Ismail's in Arusha. Okay, and Ruben's in Tanzania. Love that. Okay, and Kilimanjaro. Okay, we love that too. Okay, here's one from Joy. My grandson is going to Miami February 22nd to 26th. When's the best time to purchase airline tickets? Well, here's the question I have for you. I don't have the calendar in front of me. That wouldn't be February 22nd, 26th, President's Day weekend, would it? All right, it's probably a little bit early before spring break, but if it's President's Day weekend, guess what? Buy it now. You're not going to get any bargains as you get closer to that date, especially going to Florida. Look, here's the rule of thumb. If you know the no-brainer dates, right? The Wednesday before Thanksgiving, before Christmas, Memorial Day, July 4th, Labor Day, right? President's Day weekend. There's no real point in waiting till the last minute. Fares aren't going to go down, they're only going to go up. But if it's not over one of those dates, there's no point at all about booking it now, because the airline's computers, their algorithms, just look at year over year. They're not set up to give you a discount 8 months in advance. They're going to keep those fares high as they can until they see how the projections, settle out. So unless it's one of those days we just mentioned, you want to go between 54 and 90 days out. Other than that, wait. Okay? All right, let's keep going here. Another Tanzania. Oh, all the Tanzania folks are coming in. All right, Tim is quoting me. Only 2 types of airline luggage, carry-on and lost. I couldn't agree more. Greetings from London. Oh, she's lying. She's still in California. All right, Joan. Thank you for catching yourself there. Lena wants to know, any thoughts on the Ben Gurion Airport in Tel Aviv? Easy, yes or no? I wouldn't call that airport easy. They take their security, seriously on steroids for all the obvious reasons. I'm going to give you what happens to me every time I leave that airport, okay? You're going through 2 or 3 separate security areas, and each one has the ability to take you aside and do a personal interview, asking you lots of questions that you can't answer with yes or no, right? It's a very good interrogation technique. But it happens to me every time. On the 3rd pass, I'm going through, there's an Israeli soldier there, usually a beautiful woman soldier with her Uzi, and she looks at my passport. This happens every time. She goes, Greenberg. Yeah. Jewish? Yeah. You speak Hebrew? No. Why not? Oh my God. I didn't know it was a requirement. But you know what? If you're looking to feel safe at an airport, that's your airport. Okay. Tim is remembering PSA Airlines, of course. We love PSA. When they were taken over by US Air, that was a dark day for those people who love flying PSA in California. And what's the first thing US Air did when they took it over? For those people who remember PSA, on the nose of their 727s, they had a smile. It was distinctive. First thing US Air did was they ripped off the smile. That told you everything you needed to know about US Air management. Okay. Hey, Violetta. She's in Crete. Mwah to you, darling. Nice to hear from you. Okay. Jeff's visiting Cape Cod. Oh, any favorite lobster roll places? You know what? Lobsters are everywhere. I'm not going to give you one. Okay, greetings from Illinois. On your way to Hawaii. Okay. Any good tips? Guys, could you be any more general? Look, where are you going in Hawaii? How many days? What's your budget? What do you like to do when you travel? What's your level of physical ability? Are you a swimmer? Are you a diver? Are you a surfer? Do you ride a bike? I mean, then you can start asking some questions, okay? And I'll try to help you. Okay, Alexander's in Athens. Okay, Debbie's back in Boynton Beach. Tim's saying greetings from Atlanta. Right back at you, Tim. Catherine saying hi from San Diego. Jean saying greetings from sunny St. Croix. By the way, anybody do their history on St. Croix? You know who used to live there? An American president. Everybody tell me who? Thomas Jefferson. Maybe. See if I'm right. Or was it Alexander Hamilton? Or was he even president? Check it out. Okay. John Lapple. Okay. He's driving to Milan tomorrow. John Lapple has the best life ever. All right. I'll get to John later for reasons he knows. Okay. Tammy's saying hi from, okay. That Douglas North Hawaiian official, I can't think, I have no idea. You'll have to tell me more about that one. Okay, Sue, how many months to book for international? It's the same thing. Right now, we're getting to the low season. If you're going to go anywhere before June 15th, you can book it now because the fares are low. If you're going to do it after June 15th, based on European travel, right? Because you just said international, you have to be strategic. After June 15th, fares go way up. Okay. Is the Grand Egyptian Museum open? No, but it will be next month. So I'm telling you, it's a treat. I've been in it twice when they were building it. They were still doing all the restoration work of all the artifacts they were finding out in Saqqara and the rest of the desert. It's phenomenal. The old Egyptian Museum was really sort of a dusty dump, right? This one is amazing. Okay, Silvani's saying hi from Tanzania. Okay. Well, he's asking me if I'm producing Royal Tour and 3. You know what? We're thinking of coming back and doing another show, but there's only one Royal Tour per country for all the obvious reasons. But you don't need to force me to come back to Tanzania. We're coming back, and we're going to do another show there, I promise you. Wow, here's one we haven't heard from before. Hassan's in Algeria. Very cool. Are you in Algiers? Okay. Okay, Pat says, just back from Turkey and tried kunefe. Delicious, but surprised it had to be eaten with knife and fork. Should I have accepted the ice cream on top? No, you don't bastardize the kunefe with ice cream. It's so rich to begin with. Just do the kunefe, right? And yeah, you do need a knife and fork. But you loved it, didn't you? Wasn't it great? Okay. My good friend Robin, are you in Michigan, Robin? Hello back to you. Mark Wexler saying hello from Portland. Mark Wexler, a great photographer who lurks behind me in places I hardly suspect him sometimes. All right, Lorena says hello from Michigan. How about those Badgers? Look, we trying to rub it in. Are you trying to rub it in? The Badgers once again losing last Saturday in overtime in East Lansing against your Michigan State Spartans, which, by the way, you have an even worse team than we do. How bad do I feel that you beat us? Okay. What are my thoughts? Steve wants to know about Playa del Carmen. So I think it's a good place to spend a month down there. You know what? I love Playa del Carmen. A large American expat community there, very artistic, cultural place. I mean, you know what? I love the speed of Playa del Carmen because it's not fast. Hello from Denver, Willie. Okay. And Tim is saying, do I know how to scuba dive? I do. I've had a chance to dive in the Red Sea. for the Cayman Islands. I've done the Great Barrier Reef in Australia. I've done New Zealand. I've done Fiji. But to me, the one that knocks it out of the park is Micronesia. Palau, Truk, the Rock Islands, unbelievable. The only thing I would suggest is you better go with a very experienced guide, a very experienced dive team, because the Rock Islands in Micronesia, believe it or not, there are more islands than people, and you can get spatially disoriented before you even hit the water. So talk about the buddy system, but boy, is it a great experience. Okay, we're going to scroll back up again. Has anybody guessed who's in that picture? Put it up again, will you please? There it is. When was this picture taken? Where was this picture taken? And can you name at least 3 people in this picture? I'm not seeing any guesses. Anybody? All right, I'll give you a hint. It was taken about 10 years ago. It was taken at the legendary Pierre Hotel in New York. May have been 12 years ago. And you got me in the shot, okay? You get no points for that. All the way on the right is our good pal, Raymond Dixon, who was then running Taj Hotels, which the Pierre is one of those hotels. I think most of you who recognized who's to the right of Raymond, that's Michael Douglas. And next to Michael Douglas is a guy who, if you haven't seen the documentary, you should. It was produced by Mike Myers. It was a tribute to my good friend, Shep Gordon, who's standing next to me in this photograph. And the name of the movie is Mr. Mensch. And you'll see why when you see that movie. Unbelievable. Most people have not heard about Shep. Most people don't come in contact with Shep, but I guarantee you he's touched your lives. If you love music, if you love movies, if you love entertainment, see the movie that Mike Myers did on Shep Gordon. Okay, let's keep going. All right, now let's go to some of the questions you've asked. I'm going to get to those right now. Oh, I got to share this one with you before we do it. Did you see the story this week about the woman who went viral and complained about being stuck in the middle seat between 2 obese people on American Airlines? She even took photos. You know, in the old days, the question was always about etiquette. You know, if you're in the middle seat, who gets the armrest, right? Well, if you're in the middle seat between 2 very fat people, you are the armrest. So what did the airline respond? The airline said, we're available to all of our passengers. They were being politically correct. However, little known fact that in the contract of carriage, it's up to the flight crew to determine if a person's weight or size can impede the safe evacuation of an airplane. And if they determine that it does, then they're not going to board you. Or they'll make you buy 2 seats. So remember, if this is what happens, considering all the planes are full these days, they can't just like put you else, because then somebody else gets stuck in the center seat, right? So it'll be very interesting to see as the FAA begins to come up with, hopefully, a new set of standards for what's an acceptable, safe airline seat if they address the fact that America is just getting bigger and bigger. So interesting to see what happens there. And this one, you know, I know we're a litigious society, but this one's a little crazy. Did you hear about the lawsuit filed by Andrea Bocelli, the famous Italian opera star? He filed a $569,000 lawsuit against a private jet firm for giving him an older plane on his tour and claiming, get ready for this, that the pilot's onboard announcement about possible turbulence triggered his fear of flying. Really? Seriously? They didn't give him a plane that hit a mountain. They didn't give him a plane that crashed. They didn't give him a plane that somersaulted. He took off, he landed. And turbulence is part of the territory. We all know it. So let's see what happens. Maybe he'll write a song about it. But there you go on that one. Okay, time to go to the photo of the week. There it is. Anybody want to tell me where it is? Remember, John Lample said hi earlier. So now we'll give John Lample credit. John sent this picture in. He's the winner. Taken in Alassio in Liguria in Italy. And what do you notice about this picture? There's nobody on the beach. That's the time to go. That's John. He just did it. Mid-October weather remains gorgeous. Right. This is the secret time of the year, September and October, the magic months. He owns the beach, right? So John, thank you. The beach chairs and the umbrellas are gone, as he reports, till next May, but a few beach lovers still cling to the sand and the tepid water of the Mediterranean Sea. I agree. John always knows where to go, but most importantly, he knows when to go. So congratulations to John. If you've got a photo that you think qualifies as the photo of the week, you know what to do. Just send it in to us, peter@petergreenberg.com. And if we agree with you, guess what? We post it just like we did John's picture right here. All right, some other questions coming in. Barbara says, I'm taking a tour next year and I'm trying to find a better routing and equal or better pricing than the flights offered by the tour company. It's an open jaw flight and I'm overwhelmed by choices. Okay, once again, you haven't told me where you're going. Does anybody know what an open jaw flight is, by the way? If I want to go from New York to London and then I want to come back from Paris, the smart thing to do is make it an open jaw flight. New York to London, then take the channel and the train to Paris, fly home from Paris. That's an open jaw flight. You completed the job by train or by another flight, but not on that airline. And by the way, I just gave you an example of the best way to do it, especially if you're going to London, because of that draconian user tax that they charge anybody who's leaving from a United Kingdom airport. Not leaving. So the best way to, and by the way, you save so much money in not paying that tax, leaving London by plane, that the money that you save by taking the train to Paris buys you a hotel and dinner in Paris, and you come home. So there you go. Barbara, get me some more information. I'll be glad to help you. Okay. Jameson says, oh, this is a question that my producer, Amanda Morris, is gonna get very excited about. Okay. For those of us who plan on traveling to the UK for Charles III's coronation, do we buy our tickets now or wait? The answer, of course, is you buy your tickets now because you know when the coronation is. They're not surprising you with it. They basically told you when it's going to be. So as long as you know when it's going to be, waiting does not help you, especially for getting hotel rooms, okay? And a lot of hotels are doing something a little sneaky. They're taking their inventory off the internet. Why? Because they don't like the pricing. They think it's too low. So now's the time to book it before they do more of that. Okay? Now here's one from Frank. I'm not even going to ask why you're asking this question, Frank, but I'll try to give you an answer. Is CBD pain relief allowed on planes or for international travel? It's a roll-on liquid. Well, remember, let's go back and talk about marijuana. If you're traveling with marijuana on an airplane, you're asking for trouble because you're overflying states that may have very strict drug laws still, right? For example, Colorado, no problem. Flying from Colorado to Phoenix, problem. You get caught with it in Phoenix, you get arrested. So the question is, do they also determine the CBD stuff to be illegal as well? Figure out what states you're flying over and what states you're landing in before you can answer that question and find out what their rules are. As far as international travel is concerned, now you're really rolling the dice. I wouldn't do it because they have no sense of humor over there. And in fact, let me even go beyond that. If any of you are watching me and you're taking prescription drugs legally prescribed by your doctor, issued by your pharmacy, do not leave the United States without a letter from your doctor or your pharmacist identifying the fact that these are prescription drugs for you to treat an ailment or condition that you have. And also don't just list the brand name of the drug, list the generic name of the drug so that any overzealous police officer will understand what you're traveling with. I always carry that with you, okay? All right, let's see, Alex says, I just saw a deal on United for Japan, $999 a round trip from San Francisco. Do you think this is the cheapest it will be? I do. I'll tell you why. Japan just opened, right? We talked about that 2 weeks ago, and the numbers and bookings are triple what they were a couple weeks ago. So if you can still get that $9.99 round trip fare to Japan, you jump on it. All right, let me scroll down here, see who else is talking to me. Okay, hold on a second. I'm going to find it. Colleen says, Italy in October, magic. I love it. I agree. Okay, Paul's saying hello from Ashland, Virginia. And Robin says she's in Austin, Texas. She's not in Michigan. Okay, you'll have to explain that later. Okay, here we go. Paul says, recently returned from Germany, found prices there low, especially when coupled with the dollar-euro exchange rate. Of course, I've been saying that for weeks. This is the time to do it. Okay. Donna says, just came back from South Korea, and it was because of you. He told me to get out of my comfort zone. That would be me. Well, you didn't tell me, but you told everybody at the Adventure and Travel Show. I did. And you got out of your comfort zone, and I'm assuming you're writing me to tell me you survived. In fact, you had a great time. All right. Leslie says, I'm going to London in August 2023. When should I purchase my plane ticket? Okay. Right now is not the time to do it. As I said before, the airlines are not set up with their algorithms and projecting price and demand, right? But I would say sometime around mid-April is when you strike, okay? All right. Vivian saying, greetings from Viv in Fort Lauderdale. Hello, Viv in Fort Lauderdale. Okay, Barbara says, I need to fly. Here's Barbara's question. Tampa to Dublin, then Budapest to Tampa in April 2023. Okay, obviously no nonstops on either of those routes, but here's what you. Tampa to Dublin's an easy one because Aer Lingus will fly you. You do a shot from Tampa to JFK and Aer Lingus over to Dublin, right? Sometimes it's even better to buy two separate round trip tickets, right? But I'm assuming you're going to go to Dublin and somehow find your way over to Budapest and then come back to Tampa. So here we go with open jaw tickets again. You buy a ticket from Miami to Dublin, and then then Budapest to Miami or Tampa. And the way you do that is you got to go through where? I hate to say it, maybe London. If I were you, I would bypass London and maybe do Frankfurt because Budapest to Frankfurt's a piece of cake. You can take the train and then fly home that way. Okay? All right. All right. Moses is in Nairobi. Patty says, if your prescriptions are in their original container from pharmacy, do you still need the letter? Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Because for the original container, every pill has a number on it. It's a code, right? That's how they can identify the actual ingredients. You want the letter to match the code. Trust me, you do. Okay. Karen says, I saw a deal from Air Canada spring break to Hong Kong from Philadelphia, $761. Sounds like a good deal, but I hear a lot of bad reviews for Air Canada. Well, they still owe me $30 on my bag. However, to their credit, Air Canada is the secret way to go to Europe and the secret way to go to Asia. If I'm in Los Angeles, I want to go to Hong Kong, fly LA, Vancouver, Hong Kong on Air Canada. It's cheaper. Same thing if I need to go to Europe from LA or even from the Midwest, fly up to Toronto or Montreal, Air Canada over. In many cases, it's a less expensive flight, but remember, you got to give yourself 3 hours for the layover so they don't mess up your bags, okay? Air Canada has a lot to learn and a lot to get better, but on their long-haul flights, especially the ones in Asia, I haven't had a problem, okay? All right. Okay, Lee wants to know, I'm going to Japan in May. When should I buy my ticket? January. Okay. Okay. Randy's saying hello from Ann Arbor, Michigan. Randy says that. You know, I was in Ann Arbor, Michigan a couple of years ago, and the people there were great. I went to see the stadium because that's the stadium where Wisconsin always loses, and that really is the big house. But I was also spending some time in Ann Arbor. We were actually broadcasting my national radio show from there. And the university folks said, would I like to take a tour of the campus? Well, I would. And Michigan and Wisconsin are arch rivals, but I did. And then they showed me the Caroline Tower, this beautiful bell tower operated by one person with like a piano sort of keyboard that activated each individual rope to pull the bells. And they said, when we play this, when it comes out of the Caroline Tower, the entire city can hear it. Would you like to play it? And I said, you'll let me play it? Absolutely. So I sat down, and to the shock and dismay of everybody there in Ann Arbor, because they all heard it, I played on Wisconsin. Thank you very much. Okay. Robin says, not in Austin, Texas. I have no idea. You have to tell me where you are, Robin. Okay. Dubrovnik, Barbara says. Well, the same thing happened to Dubrovnik. You can fly Air Croatia into Frankfurt and come home that way. Okay? Okay. Patty says, if I'm flying from Kentucky to Italy in late April or early May, should we wait until January to purchase tickets? Yes, you should. Oh my goodness. Robin's going to Mackinac Island this weekend. Out of season. Best time to go. The Grand Hotel is closed, but the island is perfect. We love it. Okay. Now, on Wisconsin, everybody. I got a couple of comments on that one, so we'll let that one go. Hey, before we end it today, a couple of housekeeping notes. Of course, our radio show coming this weekend. So check it out, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern time. We also stream it live on our website, petergreenberg.com. So check that out. Some surprises on that show, I guarantee you. And of course, Royal Tour of Tanzania, still playing on PBS and on Amazon Prime and Apple TV Plus. And finally, coming October 24th, premiering on PBS, so check your local listings, our next in a series of global television specials called Hidden. In this case, it's Hidden Canary Islands. Here's a clip.
But imagine what it must have been like before cell phones, or even landlines for that matter, to communicate over distances as far as 3 miles away, village to village. Well, that's where the ancient language of Silbo-Gomera comes in. There are a handful of other whistling languages in the world, but none as developed as this. And what looks easy? Trust me, it's not.
Forma, the finger like this, okay? Yes, the lips. My grandfather.
But you need to put the point more into
like this.
Yeah. And but
Stop that laughing.
Well, that's just one of the islands. There are 8 of them, and we did all 8. So check it out. Hidden Canary Islands premiering October 24th. Check your local listings. And of course, we'll see you on the weekend on the radio show. Have a great rest of the week. Thanks to the folks here at the Ganza board for letting me do the global travel update from here, complete with the perfect fireplace behind me. So we'll see you guys next week from a distant location, not in the U.S. at all. And we'll let you guess what that might be. In the meantime, have a great weekend. Wherever you're traveling, be safe. Thanks, guys.